So in today's video, I'll be sharing with you 5 tips that can change how you deal with workplace related stress. Don't get it twisted. Stress is part of normal human response. When the body feels frightened by any condition, the body wants to fly away from it. It's called fright and flight response from the body. That happens because of a hormone in your body called adrenaline that would help you escape. I mean, you wouldn't wake up in the middle of the night and find a stranger in your room and just stay still and stay put. No, you would definitely want to run away from it, and that's where that happens, right? But it becomes a problem when you're in a consistent, continuous state of fright and flight, and that's what like stress looks like to the body. And when that happens, it becomes an issue because it begins to it begins to trigger other changes in the body, in the heart, in the muscles, which can reflect as cardiovascular illnesses, even in your blood vessels, which can reflect as heart conditions or diabetes and some other non-communicable diseases. Sometimes they could also lead to some mental health problems like depression, anxiety, and all of that. And we do not want any of that as part of what we'll be experiencing if we can prevent it. So in this video, I'll be sharing with you 5 practical tips that you can start applying from today and even tomorrow in your way of life. When I say this will go a really long way to help how you cope with work-related stress, because this hasn't just helped me, this has helped lots of people from all over the world. So if you want to know all of this, then watch this video to the very end, dig right into it. So the very first thing I want us to do when we think about stress is this. It's like a flow. They are all linked together, but the very first thing I want you to take note of is you need to know yourself well enough to know what your triggers are. So in this moment, I want you to just take a chill pill, take a deep breath in, take a deep breath out, and think in your work environment. And this doesn't just apply to workplace, because the beautiful thing about stress management is that if it has worked in your work environment, it means it can also work in your home environment or in any other environment that triggers you. So the first thing you want to do is you need to identify what your triggers are. What are those things that when you do them, what are those things that when you engage in them, you feel stressed? You need to know what those triggers are. And there's 2 reasons why you need to know this trigger. Number 1 is that you need to protect yourself from these triggers. And number 2 is that you need to evaluate these triggers to see, is there anything you can do to prevent that from being a trigger. Let me give you an instance. So let me say you're working in a role that requires public speaking, and you've realized that for every time you speak publicly, you get home feeling very anxious. You become very judgmental of yourself when you're leaving. Oh, did I do this right? Did I get this wrong? When you identify that, and so the funny thing is that at the end of that work day, when you get home, you might not even know why you just feel so burnt out, or maybe why you're not enjoying your work experience. And it could simply boil down to that one single activity that you're not very comfortable with that triggers you. By identifying your trigger, then you will know how to, if there are like 5 things to do that day, you probably want to start with the ones that are you're more comfortable with and then progress downwards so that it doesn't spoil the rest of your day. And then even when you're about to do that one, since you already have that self-awareness that this is something that could trigger your stress, it could also help with how you deal with it while walking into that stressful event. Number 3 is that when you identify your triggers, then you begin to find ways to make them work. So if the issue is public speaking, then you begin to think of what are those things you can do to help you learn how to be a public speaker, especially when this trigger is something that if you become good at it, is good for your growth, is good for your personal development, and is good for your output as well. So you begin to think of how to make this event less triggering, which can either be by improving your expertise at that, or if it's something you cannot change, then you try to walk through or walk around it. And this could be by even having conversations with your employers to say, this is what I enjoy doing, this is what I love doing. I can put in more effort here, I can put in more effort here, but how about, you can have that conversation if it is something that you don't want to engage in, if it has like, very triggering responses for you. But otherwise, if it's something you can grow through, then Look for additional courses, look for additional trainings that can make you get better at it, and be less judgmental of yourself as you take that step through getting away from it. Number two is to identify your warning signs. So for every stressful event we encounter in life, we know what our warning signs are, and it can look like the simplest of things. But let me give you an instance. If you get triggered by public speaking, for instance, if it makes you feel stressed after having a public speaking event, you might find out that minutes to that time you start stammering, you start talking fast, maybe you pick up a paper and it slips from your hand, something falls from your hand, you become jittery, you start rubbing your hands, you start biting your lips. These are very subtle signs, but then you might not even pick it if you don't know them. So you need to know them. Other possible signs of stress could be like a headache or eye pain, or you just wake up feeling very low mood, like, oh, feeling a very low mood, oh, I don't want to go to work today, just because there's something ahead of that day that you don't want to engage in. Now, when you begin to align the fact that, oh, this is related to this, then you know that this whole component is a stressful event for you. And like I said, there are three things you want to do: either reduce the exposure to the stressful event, either improve your expertise, or improve whatever skill sets are required from you in order to deal better with that exposure, or have the conversation with your employers or the people in your workplace to see how they can modify all of that for you. But knowing your warning sign is key to dealing with your stressors. The third thing we need to talk about is taking a break. Now, when you have been triggered and you have experienced those warning signs, the next thing you want to do is take a break. And this is in all forms. I mean, take a break. Like, you begin to feel this way, it's time for you to say, okay, can I use the restroom? It's as simple as that. No one's going to ask you. Go to the mirror, look at yourself, take a deep breath in and out. If you don't want to go to the restroom, you can still sit on your seat. Just relax, just calm the nerves down. Take some breathing exercises. Get some breathing exercises done. And trust me, breathing exercises are so powerful. I'm going to be sharing a video as well on 5 breathing techniques that can help you deal with stress on the go. In fact, I literally do this every evening before I go to bed, especially during my postpartum phase, when it's like the whole day is like a run around and you don't want to go to bed feeling stressed and waking up the next day even feeling worse. But by doing some of these very lifestyle related things like deep breathing exercises or shallow breathing exercises or dog style breathing exercises, you find out that you wake up in the morning feeling a lot more relaxed. You find out that even when you're done, you feel the tension go off your muscles. So sometimes you just need to take that break just to breathe. Yeah, it's that serious. Breathing can make a lot of difference. Now, if that's not your style, you can also still take your break just to walk around and look through nature. Just take a break, use the restroom, walk around, look through nature, and come back after that fresh air. You might just feel better. But one thing you don't want to do is get anxious because you're not getting something going your way, and then you're trying to do it even more. You know, like, let's say you're trying to have a public speaking event and then your paper falls, your pen falls, everything falls. You're trying to scramble to pick everything up together, and then you just say, "Oh, you're working so hard against yourself." That's what not to do. What you need to do is, it all falls, calm down, do the breathing, pick it all up, walk outside, look around, go for a cup of water, go for a cup of tea, and then come back, re-strategize, and go back in for that session. But that break, that disengagement is very, very vital. And one thing that's vital about taking that break is making sure that you take that break outside of that triggering environment. Yes, the environment probably had not triggered you, but the fact that that happened in that environment, it would be nice to detach from it and then walk back into it. That really does help. The fourth thing I want you to take note of is your power to collaborate and your power to delegate. When you are in a workplace, you are good at what you do and you know it. You have to always have that confidence. And this confidence doesn't just stem from the fact that, oh, this is the knowledge and skill set I got into the organization with. No, it stems from the fact that you are constantly seeking growth opportunities, taking up skills, building new sets of skills, making yourself valuable to the organization. When you have that going for you, then it means that when you need to know how to gauge what you can do and what you cannot do. If you begin to say so many yeses, even when you know that your calendar doesn't accommodate that, you begin to burn out because then everyone's expecting you to do something. How about you had a conversation to say, I can do this part, I can do this part. However, I am currently working on this other part that may not make it possible for me to do this. How about we work on this together? Or how about I invite this person over? Or how about, have the conversation to collaborate? It doesn't always have to be a yes or no answer. Sometimes you just need to dialogue through it. Sometimes you just need to have conversations through it. Sometimes you just need to delegate some of these things. And yes, when you manage how much you're taking in, not only does it help you manage stress, but your output as a person in that organization is even way better and more improved. You get more valued. It's better than having to say 10 yeses and at the end of the day you have only two outputs that are solid and every other one is error filled. Like people are like, oh, what's going on with this lady? That's not the kind of person you want to be in your workplace environment. And that's what I am hoping that this video will help you to do. And the last step I want us to talk about is very dear to my heart: emptying your emotional basket. So the day has ended. It's been so many things: amazing, beautiful, great, lots of vibes and all of that. Feedback, positive, negative, whatever it is, you've gotten all of that. I want you to empty that basket at the door of your workplace and come back the next day to pick it up. Go home and face the other aspects of your life. You see, life is we spend so much time at work as adults. Statistics have shown that people spend as much as 2/3 of their adult life working, and you are left with 1/3 for all the other things that matter: for family, for friends, for social network, for your hobby, for even yourself. So why exactly would you want to spend that 1/3 brooding over things that didn't work out well in the 2/3? People say 24 hours a day is not enough. I don't usually agree with that. Sometimes it's just because we are not taking back our time. We're giving something else control over our time. If you get back from work and you spend like the next 3 hours lying down in bed thinking about all the things that didn't go right, did it really help? And before you know it, you're done for the evening, you have dinner, you lie down back and sleep. You haven't even had time to probably read a book that means so much to you, call your loved ones, watch a nice movie, pamper yourself through a home self-spa session. None of that, just because you're brooding over what didn't go right. No matter how you brood over it, stress is one thing that steals your time because it's not going to change it. It's not going to provide a solution. It's not going to bring a next step or the way forward. It's going to rob you of the 24 hours you said that wasn't enough. And that's one thing you don't want to do. So guys, as you stop this video, walk away with these steps. And I hope and I know that if you practice them every time you find yourself in a stress triggering environment or stress triggering space, you will definitely feel a lot better. If you want to watch the video on a breathing exercise, you would see the link down below. Bye.